Hi, this is Glenda, and today's soap has colors that were inspired in a thrift shop find. I'm going to mix first the colors with some olive oil to make them easier to disperse. I have here some Heart's Desire mica, which is the pinkish with coral notes. I have black pearl, and then a mix of orange vibrance mica and orange neon pigment. And lastly, peacock mica from Nurture Soap. I just will give them a quick swirl with a spatula to help disperse them. And the colors that I'm trying to match are the ones of a pair of shorts that I found at Goodwill. I ended up not buying them because they were too short, but I did like the fabric enough to take a picture of it. And I've had it for a while, and I always wanted to do a soap with them. I will be using the pull screen method, and the fragrance used will be lemongrass mint from Wholesale Supplies Plus, which smells very good, by the way. I have here the oils that I'm going to weigh out and complement with some additional olive oil. They have been warmed up to about 100 degrees Fahrenheit or 38 degrees Celsius, and this is the light water solution, which, as you can see, has taken a pink tone, and it is at 24 degrees Celsius or 76 Fahrenheit. This soap, I made it when the coronavirus effects were starting and there wasn't enough distilled water in the grocery store to purchase. So I had collected rainwater and I filtered it, and then I added a light to it and it just turned pink. I asked in a soap making group for possible causes of this, and somebody mentioned that it could be because rainwater is usually acidic, and I did take the pH level of it, and I think it was either a 5 or a 6. The neutral pH is 7, so yes, it was slightly acidic. However, some people have used rainwater before and their light water doesn't turn pink. So, however, besides this, the soap turned out good and I didn't have any issues with it. Here I have now the oils with the light water solution mix, and I'm just stirring it, and I'm going to blend it just slightly until I reach emulsion. And I just did it a few times and I could see that it was coating the shaft of the stick blender and it wasn't breaking apart. It seemed to have reached emulsion pretty fast, but I did not want it to get thick, so I stopped blending after this. After this, I divided the soap into the containers that had the pre-mixed colors, and if you want to know the exact amounts of these portions, I'm going to include them in the blog post, which will be linked in the description box below. The orange mica mixed with the neon orange pigment was the only one for which I used a stick blender to distribute, and I noticed that it was the one that got thick, or it reached thicker trace faster than the other colors. After this, I realized that I had not put the fragrance into the soap before splitting it up. So I weighed each one individually so that it will have the right amount of fragrance per color. When I was trying to mix the fragrance into the orange portion, you can see how it looks slightly thicker than the rest. So with the rest of the colors, I just stir them with a spoon to make sure that they didn't reach any thicker trace at this point. I do want to keep the batter very fluid for the pull-through technique, which is actually the reason why I decided to try the black pearl mica instead of using activated charcoal or black oxide pigment, because whenever I use those, it seems that the soap seems to become thicker, come to a thicker trace faster. And it did work because with the mica I was able to pour it out easily. Speaking of pouring, I'm actually ready now to start putting this into the mold. I checked the color pattern really quick and started with the orange at the bottom. And I'm just gonna do left to right movement with each color. In 2019, I participated in the Sub Challenge Club Pull Screen Challenge, and this was when I made this screen with a polymer clay, but I actually made it after the challenge was over, and I had not been able to try it in a soap since then, so I was actually happy to be able to finally use it. The next part is going to be very messy because I have to pull the strainer. I have to figure out where I'm going to put it. I guess I'm going to put it on top of this. So I'm a little bit nervous. Hopefully it pulls up easily. Here we go. And you can sort of see the pattern there. The idea is that when I cut it, I'll be able to see it more. So I'm going to be cutting this horizontally. So this is a day and a half later. And it seems to be releasing from the edges well, even though it feels soft. Here at the bottom you can see the pattern a lot better. And now onto the cut. I tried to measure as best as I could so that it would match the width of most of my regular bars, and then I cut it on the side so that I could see the pattern of the screen, and you can sort of see it in here, the honeycomb pattern. In some bars it's more obvious than in others, but overall I was pretty pleased with how it turned out. The colors that surprised me, the pink, I guess I used too little, so it became sort of like a soft rose pink instead of the coral that I was expecting. And the blue, I seem to have used too little, so it was also more of a baby blue than turquoise. But overall, this is what they look like. And I also took pictures under a black light to see how the neon orange pigment would look like, and you can tell that that's definitely a very fluorescent color. So thank you for joining me, and I will see you next week. Bye.